friends, I hope y'all are doing well today. So this week we're going to talk about serving others and putting others first because Jesus put us first. So let's talk about, what does the word serve mean? According to the dictionary, serve has more than 20 different meanings. The word serve can mean to offer food, to offer help, to spend time, to work, to give honor, to be obedient. So the Apostle Paul wrote a letter to the church in Philippi, and that is known as the book of Philippians. So we call the book of Philippians the letter that Paul wrote to the church. Paul loved to remind people of Jesus' example. He wanted to encourage them to live like Jesus did. So in Philippians 3 through 4, it says, "Don't do anything only to get ahead. Don't do it because you are proud. Instead, be humble. Value others more than yourself. None of you should look out just for your own good. Each of you should also look out for the good of others." So let's talk a little bit about what that means. Okay, so how many of you have a pair of these? Okay. How many of you wear flip-flops every day you can when it starts to get a little bit warmer? Kind of like how it has been the past couple of days. When it starts getting warmer, I know I put these on and wear them all the time. It feels good to get those heavy shoes off from the winter and to go almost barefoot. You can wear flip-flops and sandals just about anywhere. Okay, there's a lot of good things about flip-flops. They're light. They don't really hurt your feet. Kind of feels like you're walking with no shoes on at all, but there's also some bad things about flip-flops. For example, flip-flops can get your feet pretty nasty. If you're walking around all day in flip-flops and you don't have any other socks or real shoes on, then your feet get nasty. They might even get kind of stinky and not very clean at all. There's no shoe or sock to keep the dirt out. So by the time you get home, your feet are filthy. Well, back in Jesus' time, they didn't have shoes and socks. So everyone who could afford shoes wore sandals. You can imagine what a mess that was, walking around with sandals on all the time. In fact, it was such a mess that a tradition formed. When you were invited to somebody's house, one of the servants would wash your feet because your feet were so nasty from wearing sandals all day. So do you think there'd be very many servants volunteering for this job? I really don't think so. Do you think your principal at school would volunteer to wash your feet? What about some big movie star? If you went over to their house for a party, do you think that they would volunteer to wash your feet? Probably not. Washing feet was a servant's work. Only the lowliest of servants were made to do it. So when Jesus got on his knees and washed the feet of his disciples, it was a big deal. Jesus was their teacher, their master. They followed Jesus around because they wanted to hear exactly what he was saying. But Jesus washed the feet of his own students. How then should we treat our friends, our neighbors, and even our own enemies? Washing feet is a dirty job. It was one of the dirtiest jobs servants can do, but it was not too dirty for Jesus. If Jesus was willing to wash the feet of the men of his followers, we need to be willing to serve others in the same way. When we serve others, we are actually serving God. Remember what Paul wrote: "As you deal with one another, you should think and act as Jesus did first." That's a question. There's a question that people used to ask many years ago, and it's still a good way to think about today. WWJD. What would Jesus do? So stop and think how you can be a little more like Jesus and serve others instead of yourself. I love you guys, and I can't wait to see y'all again. See ya.